Welcome to the Offshore Club's most riveting and revealing offshore lifestyle podcast, Open Mike, with Mike Cobb. For more than 20 years, Mike has worked and lived in Caribbean countries from north to south and the Atlantic to the Pacific. Nobody knows it better. And now, here is your offshore ambassador at large, Mike Cobb.
Hi, this is Carib Carter Clues, and I have a very, very special Open Mic show for you today. This is not Coffee with Carib Carter, which, by the way, you should watch every Monday at noon at Offshore.club. But this one is, today is Open Mic, Mike Cobb show. Mike is not one of, but the offshore entrepreneur. And he's going to be joining us shortly. But even before he comes in, we have an incredibly special guest who is down in Nicaragua at Grand Pacifica, where you should one day live. And we're going to talk to her two-part show of Open Mic. First of all, her story, how she ended up in Nicaragua at Grand Pacifica. And then next Friday on Open Mic, we'll talk about how you can join her. But first, let me introduce Leslie Lawrence. Will you please join us?
Absolutely. Happy to be here. How are you?
I am great. And you are at Grand Pacifica, Nicaragua, right?
I am. We just launched one of our new condo buildings called the Momotombo, which is a volcano here. All of our condos are named after volcanoes in Nicaragua. And I thought, what better place than one of the new condos to do the live recording from today? So I'm very excited. I'll give you a quick peek if you want me to. It's really cool.
Excellent.
So the view, got a little rain today, but look, we're right on the Pacific. It's amazing.
Wow. And
so that's one of the waves out there. So this is one of the surf breaks. So you hear us a lot when we talk about the different surf breaks. The meat grinder is one of the more professional ones. You won't catch me out there. Actually, you won't catch me on either one. We also have the Osachio Beach, where it's more for beginner surfers. But yeah, this is right outside near Sea Salt Restaurant, near the other condo building with the pool. So this is kind of what I consider the hub here at Grand Pacifica. Every night we come to Sea Salt and we watch the sunsets. It's the most amazing sunsets you will ever see. And I've traveled the world. I can't describe it. The pictures don't capture the beauty. So I tell people you just have to come see it firsthand.
Fantastic. And let's put in perspective for people. Before we talk about your story and how you ended up there, tell people what Grand Pacifica is and what will help them understand why they need to get down there. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
So obviously, we should start. We have developments and properties in several different countries, obviously Belize and Costa Rica, Panama, here in Nicaragua. We're growing. We've got Honduras now. We're going into Mexico, El Salvador. So it's getting really exciting to be with ECI and the properties here. But the cool thing is here in Nicaragua, we have what's called Grand Pacifica. It's over 2,500 acres. We have 3.5 miles of beachfront. It's just beautiful. And the development, it literally started, I've been told it was like a cattle pasture. So, I get to talk with people that have kind of been here from the beginning, and it's exciting to hear what it used to be like. And then to kind of imagine, they said, there really wasn't roads coming in. So when you were like during the rainy season, which has just kind of started here, they said they would have to come in like with an ox pulling a cart. And I'm like, what? I don't know about all that, but and we're talking way back. This is what they did because there wasn't really that great of roads. But now they've really spent the time and done the legwork. We have the roads, the infrastructure, everything in place. Some beautiful homes and communities here. So the cool thing that I really like about Grand Pacifica is, each community has their own feel. So we have the San Diego Viejo community, which is kind of Spanish colonial architecture homes. Just beautiful. I love walking my dogs through that community. And then you've got the beachfront condos here that are expanding. Next week, I'm doing a launch for one of the new condo buildings, so that's exciting. Then we have another area that's kind of lining the golf course, some of the holes over there, and it's been rebranded. It's been called Mila. And those homes are like 2 and 3 bedroom homes right along the golf course, so they have been very popular. We have our Ava tiny homes, which those are popping up so quick. I'm very excited. I take my dogs over there in the mornings and kind of watch the progress every week, which is fun. So that's been a really popular community as well. And it's going to have its own feel. It's completely off the grid. So that's a different community than some of our others. Some of our communities are hybrid, which is also a nice feature. Then we have our Bella beachfront community, which is literally right on the beach at the Osachio Beach. And so that one, we've launched the first couple of phases for it, and it's gaining a lot of traction. So that's going to be, I think, a really special place as well.
And every one of these communities you just mentioned, and they are communities.
Yes.
They are part of Grand Pacifica, folks, which is the preeminent residential resort development in Central America. I'm just telling you, Google it. I mean, they can, grandpacifica.com, right? They can look it up.
That's exactly right. And the cool thing about it, we're the nearest, really the nearest beachfront, like resort and community from Managua, which is the airport that you fly into.
Right.
So we're just about an hour away from the airport. So it's easy to get to. You know, I talk to people, and even the residents that I've met here, you know, I'm like, tell me about why you chose Grand Pacifica over some of the other communities or even the different areas in Nicaragua. And a lot of times I get, you know, they did like that it was close to the airport. That was a nice feature. But they said once they were here and on site and meeting the people, the word community keeps coming back up. Once I came here and now that I've been meeting people, I completely agree that community is what makes this place really special.
It's GRAN, folks. There's no D. grandpacifica.com. Look it up. And once you do, you're going to realize it is breathtakingly beautiful. And it's a community of people who enjoy each other, enjoy the ambiance, which brings us to the question that we want to talk about in today's show. How did you end up there, Leslie?
Right. Well, so I guess we'll start. Where did I originally come from? So I was a born and raised Texas girl, and had spent some time in Nashville. I had been a 20-year sales consultant and was a little burned out and really looking for, you know, some new adventure. I like an adventure. So I went to Belize, March of 2018 on a lifestyle investment trip. And from the moment I got there, and then it really hit me when I went swimming with sharks, which I know that sounds crazy, but I watched Jaws too many times. I was scared of sharks, but I was in this phase. I was doing some motivational speaking and I was trying to face my fears kind of thing. I said, if I'm talking to people about doing that, I have to do it myself. So I decided I would jump in and swim with these sharks. They were nurse sharks. They called them the puppies of the sea. I thought, oh, well, that can't be too bad, right? So I did it, and I was surprised to find that I was probably the happiest I had ever been. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but I was just like pure joy in that moment. And so after I left Belize, I went home and I was like, okay, I need to be here. I need to come back and experience this simpler life. The thing there that you felt, and even same here in Nicaragua, it's a completely different pace than I was used to for 20 years in corporate America. You know, I was getting up at 4 a.m. and driving 2 hours to see my first client, you know, getting home at 7 o'clock at night. You know, I had the boat, you know, all the Corvette, the toys, all the fun stuff and the nice house, but I never enjoyed it because I worked so much. And so I told my family, I'm packing up everything, selling most of it. And I'm going to try to make the move to Belize. So I did that. And I lived in Belize for 2.5 years on the island of Ambergris Caye, which was phenomenal. I highly recommend it as well. But I had the opportunity to come to Grand Pacifica because I'd started working for ECI. And they, you know, I came in March of this year for 10 days. And I explored, you know, some of the country while I was here. And I really liked the diversity of the country. I was glad to kind of be back on mainland and be able to kind of have more, you know, areas to explore. And so I made the decision and I moved here in mid-May and I brought my 2 rescue dogs and we haven't looked back. They love it. I'm enjoying every moment and trying to get out and explore. And I've made some great new friends, taken up new activities. I got here and they were having a Rotary golf tournament, a charity event. And I had 2 weeks to crash course and try to learn golf so I could play in the tournament. And I loved it. My dad was an avid golfer. And after he passed away, they had named a golf tournament after him in Texas. And I had attempted to play just to play in that, but I never played again. So I'm actually really enjoying reconnecting with that passion. And there's so many cool activities to do here. And we're expanding upon those for our future residents and guests as well. So and
when you said the golf course, Grand Pacifica has an 18-hole golf course on the ocean, right?
Right. Well, currently we have the 9 holes in existing. You
All
play
right.
18. We have different, setups for that. But yes,
Right.
it's right here. There's one hole that it's hole number 4. I know it now. I didn't at first, but when you go to tee up, you're right there looking out onto the Pacific, and you can hear the waves and the palm trees are swaying. And I will tell you, I have put it out into the universe. That's going to be my first hole in one at Grand Pacifica is hole number 4, because it's kind of a shorter one. And I got really close to the pin on my first shot, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I got really excited. So I'm going to get a hole in one, and I'll let you know when I do it.
So actually you are pretty good at golf.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm just learning. I get lucky, I think, but I'm taking golf lessons, and he's really patient with me, and I have some great moments and then not some great moments as well. But I'm very dedicated, and I'm very competitive with myself. So I think eventually I'm going to be pretty decent.
Pretty fantastic. All right. Well, now I believe now, folks, you have to understand when you make your move to Nicaragua, okay, to Grand Pacifica, and I'm just assuming you're going to do it sooner or later, especially now that you know Leslie, you have a good friend there who obviously is come on down. I think one of the things that we need to address with people and cover is, I think my own personal opinion, I think Nicaragua is the most misunderstood country in Central America. I really do. I mean, our State Department hates it because they don't like Ortega, and so they make up all these damn stories about Nicaragua which just aren't true. It's like when people say, "Well, what about crime?" Well, it has almost the exact same crime rate as the U.S., which is pretty fantastic. And when I say U.S., I'm not talking Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore. I'm talking about like 8 murders per 100,000. America is 6 now. So it's the safest country there. The lifestyle, tell us about, so let's clear up the safety thing. Folks, you're safe there.
You're safe here. I will tell you, I'm single. I'm here with my 2 dogs. I've driven different places. I've walked around. I've never not felt safe here. So that's the question I get from every friend, family member, client that I talk to is safety. I had a friend, ex-colleague today that was messaging me, and when he found out I was in Nicaragua, he was like, "Oh my gosh, it's a little rough. I can't believe you chose to go there." And I'm like, really, it's not. So I tell people, here's my thing. Yeah. You don't have a right to talk about that Nicaragua not being safe if you've never visited here. So I encourage people, get on that plane, come visit, and then I definitely know that you're going to change your mind about the safety issue.
Yeah, when a country who has an average, the U.S., of 50 murders per 100,000 in its cities has no right to talk about safety for somewhere has 8.
Exactly.
So it's a safe city. And also the people, the friendliness of the people. That is just, tell us about that. What are your relationships with the Nicaraguan people?
Yeah, they're so friendly. So I'm not an expat that moves and just stays with expats. I mean, I love having expat friends, but I like to experience, the local communities. That's very important to me. So I've had, I met the right people, and I've been invited to, there's a local that has a bar outside the gate called Alex's Bar. And there's like a softball field out in front of it. And so they have the women's and the men's softball games, and all the kids are out there and the families, and they're cooking food out everywhere. And then you walk across to Alex's Bar, and it's just like a little hangout. And his daughter was having a birthday party, and I got invited, and it was so fun to see the kids, and they've got the piñata, and they're dancing, and they're so happy. I messaged my mom, and I said, I think the thing that really, makes me feel so happy about being here and, being in Nicaragua is that you see that they live a very simple life, but they are the happiest people, and they embrace family and friends and just the simple things in life. And I'm telling you, we have another couple that just moved here from Canada. And the other day we got tickled at her because we took her on our little adventure to Masachapa, this little place where you can go to the fish market and the mercado. And we try to take the newbies and show them, where they can shop around Grand Pacifica. And, you don't have to go back to Managua, to the big city. You can get everything you need right outside the gates here. And so we took them for the first time, and we got this huge grouper. It was so big that we literally brought it back. And for one of the guys' birthday, we did a huge pot of fish soup, and everybody came over and we all ate, and it was just so much fun. But I think she was experiencing what I had, being in that, local community and seeing everything. And when we were at lunch, she just kept saying, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy being here. And she literally had tears in her eyes. And I was like, I know that feeling so well.
You know what? It reminds me of, Leslie. I have 2 homes in Honduras, right? Mm-hmm. And the people are exactly the same. It's just wonderful. I used to tell my brother and sister when they'd say, well, what's it like? Because I lived there for a year. And I'd say, it's like moving back to America in the 50s.
Yes.
It is just friendly people, little stores, a feeling of community wherever you went, acceptance. I never had a bad experience.
Right.
And I think Nicaragua is exactly the same in many ways.
Right. I wasn't born yet in the 50s, but I compare it. I grew up watching Andy Griffith, so I compare Grand Pacifica. I said it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of my own little Mayberry here, and people like the homes have the porches out front and the rocking chairs out there, and you're walking through the community. I walk my dogs, and people are just sitting outside, and you're visiting. There's one family that I passed by, and they have 3 little boys, and their dog comes out, and the little boys come out, and they're just waving to me, and it makes me happy.
It's a great feeling, and
right.
the kids are not. I mean, it's just. I remember when I would buy a bag of bubble gum for the little kids, and you would have thought it was Christmas morning.
Right.
I mean, folks, it's just good. It's just a good life. And let's talk about, before we go, how about let's cover one more thing. Next week's show, we're going to talk about life in the various communities at Grand Pacifica. But what about medical care? Everybody, especially people my age, that's all they talk about is medical care. What about medical care?
Right. You have medical options here. So again, it depends. If it's something critical, then obviously you would want to go back to Managua, where they have some outstanding hospitals there. And most of the doctors are trained, in the U.S. And so there's some really great hospitals there. But for basic things, again, right outside the gates, there's a couple of little communities that have, clinics or even a hospital outside there. I had a client that one time they were coming to visit, do a property tour, and they were almost to Grand Pacifica, and the wife had some issues and they weren't sure what was going on. And so they took her to the clinic that was close by, and they had a great experience. And then they went on to Managua just to, check everything out. But you've got things here, so you don't have to worry. We do have I don't want to like throw him out there, but we have a new resident who was a paramedic where he came from. And so we're kind of feeling excited that he's here just in case, there was some little something, we could, have somebody that we know and trust right here on site.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I know Patrick Hebert.
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful guy who I've interviewed before. And I remember him talking about he had kidney stones is what it was. Okay. And he was in the hospital all morning, treatment, x-rays, CAT scans, the works, et cetera, et cetera. He said it was first class, $58. I was like, what?
I know. I get asked, even when I was in Belize, I was asked that question a lot about insurance. I'm like, you go to the polyclinic and it's free. You can make a donation if you would like.
Yeah.
But it's different. We have to change our thinking, and it's hard for people. I get that if you've lived in the U.S. or Canada, wherever you've lived all your life, when you come to these Central American, Latin American countries, it's very different. The healthcare and everything. Like, I don't need health insurance here. Or dental insurance, or go to the eye doctor or the dentist, you just pay out of pocket because it's not the same pricing we're used to. That's a whole other area we could talk about is, the cost of living.
Yes.
Quite a bit different here in Nicaragua. They laugh at me because I always have my phone out. I'm trying to do the conversion rate because I just can't believe it. And they sit there and laugh and go, no, that's right, Leslie. And I'm like, it can't be right. That's like too good to be true kind of moment. But definitely you go out, we had the day we went to Masachapa, we stopped and had lunch at this place, and we ordered like this platter, and they said it was something you could share. Well, it was like $25 US, but it was like, like almost like a double cookie sheet. It was this huge platter, and it was, shrimp and fish and pork and beef and, all salad and rice and potatoes. And I could go on and on, all these things. It was huge. We had 5 people eating on it, and we could not finish it. And it was $25 US. It was crazy.
It's incredible. And the food was fresh.
Yes. completely fresh. Everything
All right,
fresh here.
on that note, we're out of time for today, but you have done a great job of telling us how you ended up there and what it's like to live there, which is pretty enticing. In a sentence, what would you say to people who are considering joining you as your neighbor there?
Oh, well, I love having new neighbors. So definitely the first step is just reach out to us and connect with us. Let us share how to get here, and then get on that plane and come visit, because you're going to fall in love with it. I know you are, and we're going to grow this community.
Fantastic. Leslie, thank you. And we'll be back with you again next week to talk about the communities of Grand Pacifica.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Mike Cobb, visit offshore.club today. Offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.